Hey guys, it's Michael Kummer, and in today's video I want to tell you everything there is to know about the PowerDot 2.0. It's an electrical muscle stimulation device that both my wife and I have been using since September of 2020 to help relieve workout-induced pain, to help with recovery, and to improve our strength and endurance. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel and you click on the little alert button so you get notified when I publish more videos like this. Now, one thing I should mention is that I've written a fairly extensive review of the PowerDot 2.0 and published it on my blog. So if you want to look at some of the studies behind everything that I'm going to tell you, then go ahead and look up my review, read that as well, so you can get even more information than what I could cover in this video review. Before we get into the actual review, let me tell you a little bit about electrical nerve and electrical muscle stimulation, because there are two distinct types from a device perspective as well as from a technological perspective. One is called transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation, or TENS, and the other one is called neuromuscular electrical stimulation, or NMES. And these two methodologies of using electricity to influence either how nerves or muscles react and operate have entirely different goals. TENS is meant to temporarily block pain signals from reaching the brain. So you can use it for pain relief. If something hurts, if you tweak the muscle or something, and or in my case, I've actually been suffering from Achilles tendon pain because I overdid it with a jump rope. So I use TENS to block, for example, the pain signals that originate from my Achilles tendon, so I can work on it, I can massage it, etc., without it being painful. So that's one of these things that PowerDot 2.0 can help you with. The other one is called neuromuscular electrical stimulation, or NMES. And the goal of NMES is not to block pain signals. It's meant to increase oxygenated blood flow. So it helps you to get more oxygen and other nutrients through increased blood flow to certain muscles or muscle groups, because that can help with a recovery. So if you did an extensive workout and you were sore and your body's in the process of rebuilding and healing, the more oxygenated blood it gets, the more nutrient it gets, the quicker your recovery process is. So that's one of the use cases to improve and speed up recovery. The other one is you can use it as a means to warm up and prepare for an intense workout. So the goal of warming up typically is to get your blood flowing so you reduce the risk of injury. And so with a PowerDot 2.0, which has NMES capabilities, you can actually prepare certain muscle groups for an intense workout and thus reduce the risk of injury. And number three is increasing that blood flow also recruits muscle fibers, both fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fibers, the type 1s and type 2s. And these are typically stimulated and recruited when you either do endurance training, as in the case of slow twitch muscle fibers, or strength training or sprints in the case of fast twitch muscle fibers. And so PowerDot and NMES devices in general can recruit those two types of muscle fibers to help you improve endurance and improve strength. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you can slap on the PowerDot and sit on the couch and eat potato chips and expect to get significantly stronger and fitter overall, but it has been scientifically proven to dramatically increase your endurance as well as your strength if used in combination with your regular workout regimen. And so again, if you want to see all the studies and the scientific evidence to the claims that I'm making here in this video, I highly encourage you to check out my review on michaelkummer.com. I'm gonna be linking it up here or up here in the card. So check that out if you're interested and you want to read up on all the details. But in a nutshell, TENS and NMES are the two types of electrical stimulation that we'll be talking about throughout this video. And PowerDot 2.0 has been FDA cleared for both of these use cases. So you can be assured that whatever PowerDot promises you in terms of its effectiveness has been proven not only in scientific studies but also through the FDA regulations. So let's talk about PowerDot, and let's start with what is PowerDot? What do you get when you purchase a PowerDot system? So there are two types of PowerDot units that you can get. One is it's called the Uno and the Duo, which, as the name implies, you either get one or two units. We have the Duo, so we have two of these. These are the ones, actually, these pucks are the ones that deliver the electrical current, so you have to keep them charged. Then we have pads. Those pads have a sticky side, so you can peel them off like so and place them on your skin, and then they stick, and when you're done, you peel them off. And then to connect the pads to the control units, you get different lengths of cables. So these ones clip onto the pads like so, and the other end goes into the micro USB port, and you can see those are like split ones, so one controller can control two pads basically, and you get one depending on, there are different color pads. There are black ones, there are red ones. We had both, and you can basically then connect one control unit to the big pad and then the other one to the two smaller ones. And there are different types or different lengths of cables that you get. There are long ones and short ones, depending on, if you only want to cover in like a small area, you can use the small cables or the short cables so they don't tangle around too much. And that's pretty much it. Well, there is one more thing that I don't have here right now because it's plugged in here on my computer, and that's a charging cable. So again, a butterfly cable, one USB-A and then two micro USB, so you can, if you have to do at least, you can charge both of your control units or pucks at the same time. So that's what you get in addition to that storage pouch. So we always keep that stuff in here so we don't lose it and everything stays nice and clean. All right, next let's talk about the PowerDot app, because that's what you need to control, to select the different programs, to control your units, to increase intensity, etc. And so I've launched the app here already. You will be able to see it then here on the side. On the second screen here, you can see activities, and you can see that we've used PowerDot, both my wife and I, together for almost 60 hours since we got it. And then here you can see, the different areas where we've used them: lower back muscle, lats, calf muscle, etc. Now, as you can see here, there is a before and after, and in most cases the before and after is one line in our, because whenever you use the system, especially for pain relief, it asks you before, what is the intensity of your pain on a scale, I think from 1 to 10. And so, we answer to that, and then at the end of the session, it asks you, how is your pain now? And to be quite honest, most often, we just leave the, whatever was pre-selected, and we don't change it, and we just, finish the session basically, or we don't even look at the screen, and so it saves it automatically using the value that we had before we started the session. So that's why most of the lines are just one line. But if you take the time and answer those questions truthfully, you can actually see how your perceived pain changes with every session. That's quite useful if you want to look at that. And some other statistics that you can see in here on the second tab. The third one is where you see all the workouts, and PowerDot offers, I think, 12 workouts or 12 types of sessions in total that you can use. There is anything from performance, so if you want to improve your strength or endurance, for wellness, which is kind of like think of it as a massage to get out, tight knots, etc. There is the smart pain relief, which is one of the categories that both my wife and I have used extensively, as well as smart recovery. So after a workout, if you want to get additional blood flow going, if you want to make sure that your muscles that were most affected by the workout get all the nutrients they need and enough oxygenated blood to speed up the recovery, then the smart recovery is the program you want to go with, and then you can focus on specific muscle groups if you want to go that route. So all of these categories basically are meant to help you find the program that's most suitable for what you want to achieve. And then we have some everyday type of programs, and one that I found incredibly interesting, or there are two that are really interesting, and one is the warm-up, and the warm-up program, basically, as I've mentioned before, if you know that you're going into intensive workout, maybe you're doing Murph in May, and you want to prep for that, maybe your triceps or what have you, then you can use the warm-up program to prepare your body and reduce the risk of injury. The second one that's incredibly interesting is the long haul flight program. I've not flown long haul in a very long time, since the whole pandemic kind of thing started, and I'm very much looking forward to doing it again, to visit my family in Europe. But as you know, if you fly for an extended period, your calves, get like tight because there is blood flow restriction, etc. Your neck might get tight, maybe your lower back, maybe your upper back. And so there's a special long haul flight program that you can use to increase blood flow in the affected muscle group. So that's incredibly cool. Next time I'm gonna fly, I'm gonna definitely bring my PowerDot and attach it to my calves, and make sure that there is no blood being stuck in my lower extremities. That also reduces the risk of blood clots, etc. So very cool. And then the next tab is where you can see your devices. In my case, they are now disconnected. I haven't turned them on yet, but as soon as you turn them on, they connect via Bluetooth. You can set up device sharing. So if you want to use those devices with your partner, with your spouse, for example, we just use the same account, but it would be the better option actually to have her own account, and she can track her own progress, etc. We don't do that. And then you can see the lifetime of your pad. So whenever you reset the counter after 25 times or so, after 25 sessions, PowerDot recommends replacing the pads, because the sticky side of the pads gets worn out, and so you have to replace them every so often. You can order new pads right from here, etc., etc. There is health integration, so you can see some of the reminders that you want to maybe set up, or integrations that PowerDot offers. All of that is in here in the app. Next thing I want to talk about is battery life. So how long do the batteries in these two pucks, or in one puck, depending if you got the single or double version, last? So you can get approximately 6 hours of continuous use. After that, you want to charge them using the micro USB. It takes, I think, about 1.5 hours or so to recharge them fully. Not a big deal. We typically, every, week or so, or maybe 1.5 weeks, depending on how much use them, we plug them in. PowerDot also has a charging dock that is more convenient maybe, or it looks cleaner on the countertop, where you can just plug them in like so. I'm going to show you here in a second. If you're not a fan of cables and you want to have your countertop or desk clean, then instead of plugging the micro USB cables directly into these little control units or PowerDots, you can actually use this dock. I think it's sold separately, and it has 2 slots that you can just use to plug in the dots, PowerDots here. So you dock them here, and from here you have one single cable that might look cleaner on a desk or countertop, and you can see there are 2 LEDs that indicate the charging status. So we got these as well. Looks very nice, works really well, and just after maybe even after every use, if you don't want to wait until the batteries have completely emptied, you just plug them in here and you charge them until you need them again. Next, let's talk about pricing. So the PowerDot 2.0 Uno, the one control unit, basically costs $199, and if you get the Duo, which comes with 2, obviously, you pay $349. And the good news is that if you use discount code MK20, you can actually get 20% off your purchase, significantly reducing the price and making it more palatable for many of you. Now, I know that there are less expensive units on the market. However, it's important to understand that a unit is only as good as its effectiveness. So PowerDot has been cleared by the FDA to be as effective as the company claims the product is. So that's important. If you buy a unit that hasn't received FDA clearance and that hasn't been part of any studies, of any scientific studies that back up their claims, then you don't exactly know, what you're getting. And so I highly recommend, do your research, check out the available studies, check out FDA clearance before you decide making a purchase. So let's talk about the pads real quick, because in addition to the one-time purchase, there is an ongoing cost with buying replacement pads. And as I've mentioned before, one set of pads lasts approximately for 25 sessions. Now, there are a couple of things you can do to extend the lifespan of those pads, or to reduce the chances of the lifespan being shorter than what they should be. And one is, make sure that your skin is free of oil or any lotion or whatever. So Don't use PowerDot right after, lubing up or putting on lotion or sunscreen or anything like that. Make sure your skin is clean. If necessary, just use, some soap to clean off the affected area, or maybe some rubbing alcohol or whatever to get all the grease and stuff off your skin, because that significantly increases the longevity of those pads. The other thing that you can do is you can gently clean them, maybe with rubbing alcohol, the sticky side of those pads, to get off any grease or whatever might have accumulated on them, and that also helps with increasing their lifespan. Now, you'll notice once they don't stick anymore, once they fall off easily, maybe because of the weight of the PowerDot control unit, it's time to replace them. Again, the general rule of thumb is you'll get about 25 sessions out of these. We've gotten probably closer to 30 with making sure our skin is clean and everything, but those pads unfortunately don't last forever, and so you will have to replace them eventually. Some people have asked me, well, is it only for athletes or serious fitness enthusiasts? And those are obviously a popular target group. My wife and I do CrossFit a lot, or CrossFit type exercises, and we beat our bodies up quite extensively. I mean, we work out 5 to 6 times a week besides working in the backyard, etc. So we are sore very often. We have like little aches and stuff quite a lot, and so PowerDot is incredibly valuable to us. However, even if you're not an athlete, even if you don't work out several times a week, chances are that if you sit in an office desk or in an office for extended periods, you might have lower back pains. Maybe you're enjoy working in the garden, having a veggie garden like we do, and you have to bend over a lot to pull weeds or maintain your garden basically, and you suffer from lower back pain, or knee pain is also something that a lot of people have issues with. In all of these cases, PowerDot can be a valuable tool to not only and temporarily block pain, so you can focus on your recovery initiatives without being in pain, but also to increase blood flow. Or if you travel a lot, if you're maybe an IT consultant and you're traveling Monday through Thursday or Friday, and you sit a lot in planes and in hotels, etc., then PowerDot can also be quite valuable in increasing blood flow, in relieving tension. If you suffer from headaches that are maybe caused by your neck being tight, you're being stressed out, etc., PowerDot can help. So it's very much a tool that can help almost everyone, not only athletes. Now that leads us to the next related question: who is PowerDot not for, or when should you not use PowerDot? Well, first of all, as I've mentioned before, the TENS component of PowerDots, the temporary pain relief, is not meant to fix an underlying condition. If you have a sliding disc or a torn muscle or what have you, don't use PowerDots to block the pain and then go work out or do something that would aggravate or be in the way of your recovery. So understand that it's a temporary pain relief, but nothing that can fix an underlying problem. You still need to work on fixing the root cause in addition to getting the pain relief, which hopefully makes your life more comfortable. The other thing is, in terms of improving strength and recovery, don't buy PowerDot, sit on the couch and eat potato chips all day and then think that you're living a healthier life. That's certainly not the case. While PowerDot can and has been scientifically proven to increase strength and endurance, it's meant to be used in conjunction with your regular workout routine and not instead of it. It's like a vitamin basically, or multivitamin, that can fill the gaps in your diet but doesn't replace healthy sources of food. Alright, now I want to show you how to use PowerDot and how it works. And I just removed my Apple Watch here, and I'm going to show you here how one of the programs would work on my forearm. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start recording on my phone as well, so you can see what's going on here basically with my arm as well as in the app. So we're going to start the recording here. And the first thing that I'm typically do is I apply the pads. And so as you can see here on the phone, you can pick a program, and we say we want to do a smart pain relief for maybe here the wrist flexor, and we can tell the system basically, or the app, if it's acute pain, chronic pain, or muscle pain. And so we say it is a acute pain. So we had an injury maybe, related to an injury or maybe to a surgery, because these influence the type of stimulation that you will get with PowerDot. So we say it's related to an injury. The pain level is 6, it's distracting, but it's not super severe. So again, from 0 to 10 you can pick, and you can say create program, and then it created that program, and you can find it up here under pain relief. So we can select this, we go through it again. So first you create the program and then you execute the program, and whenever you execute the program, you again tell it how severe is the pain, because that might change from session to session, right? And so the screenshot here also tells you how to apply the pads. And so this is what we're gonna do now. We're gonna take the big one and apply it here to my wrist area, like so. And then we take the smaller ones and we put them here on the side, just like the picture is showing us. So we do this, and for here, then we can use the PowerDot. We turn it on by simply pressing the button here. You can see on the LED that it's on, and you can see here on the app that it's connected. But it says connect the cable because the cable hasn't been connected yet. And then we can, I'm actually going to take it off for a moment again to attach the cable. Like so. We snap it in here. It's magnetic, very easy. We do the same here, number 1 and number 2. And you can see in the app now, the PowerDot is ready, and we can say start workout. And we start with one device. The app knows that I have 2. One is not connected, so it wants me to confirm that we're gonna start with one only. And yes, we're gonna do that. And then you can see here your PowerDot with plus and minus virtual buttons that I can use now to increase the intensity. And so it really depends on the muscle type and the exact location how high you can go. There are certain areas like my forearm where I'm super sensitive. So with an intensity of only 9, which is relatively low, I don't even know how far it goes up, probably 100 or so, I can already clearly feel it, and I don't need more. And if I get closer here, you might be able to see, I'm not sure if you can see it here, but my muscle here, my forearm muscle is twitching. If I increase the intensity, it even makes my wrist cramp up here. So this is kind of how it works. In this case, it's you can see my fingers move too. That's not me moving them. That's the muscle stimulation that's causing it, or the nerve stimulation, I should say, that's causing it. And so you can find an intensity that's comfortable, not painful obviously, but that you can clearly feel. And in this case, the program is a 30-minute program, so you just let it do its thing. One thing that's important, depending on where you use it, like if you use it on your hands and your fingers twitch, you know, maybe it's not a good time to do something that requires your fingers, like, you know, cutting something in the kitchen, like cutting food or whatever, or using knives, scissors, or anything dangerous, because you might contract, or shooting a gun for that matter, even worse, where you might squeeze the trigger without really wanting it. So, you know, be mindful of that. You know, use PowerDot during a time where you don't have anything else going on. In some cases, like if I do my legs, you know, I continue working on my computer obviously, or do whatever I have to do. But right now I couldn't use my keyboard because my fingers don't do what I want them to do. They just, you know, twitch involuntarily, so to say. But that's pretty much how it works. Very simple. Once you're done with it, once you can either obviously pause it anytime, you can stop it, and then you can you know, tell it why you canceled the session, or if you just let it run out, you can then tell the app how your pain is now. And if it's less than before, tell the app, so you can then, you know, see your progress in the app, in the activity screen, as I've shown you before. And with that, we're gonna wrap it up. So let's wrap it up. PowerDot 2.0 is an excellent electrical muscle stimulation device. It can help you both with pain relief as well as with recovery, improved performance, improved strength and endurance, It can prepare you for intense workouts. My wife and I have been using it for several months and we absolutely love it. We use it almost every day in some capacity, either her or I. And it's been scientifically proven to work. So it's one of those gadgets where there is sufficient scientific evidence that clearly proves that the device is working, both from a pain relief as well as from an improved strength and endurance perspective. So if you've never used electrical muscle stimulation before, I would highly recommend you give it a shot. Doesn't matter if you're an athlete or if you're just someone who suffers from knee pain, back pain, tension headaches, or whatever the case might be. EMS or electrical muscle stimulation can definitely help you. Also make sure if you want to give PowerDot a try, use discount code MK20 to get 20% off. And I appreciate you watching this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, let me know in the comments what I could have done better. Until next time.